James Roughton, and welcome to my podcast. As we looked at what builds a safety culture, you also need to understand how it will fail. In many cases, a safety culture fails based on a management style, as every manager has a different style of how they manage. Douglas McGregor, who specialized in human behavior, is famous for his formulation of Theory X, or authoritative management, and Theory Y, participatory management. McGregor believed that Theory X owed its origin to the banishment of Adam and Eve from Eden into a world where they were forced to work to survive. I believe that the following quote from Douglas McGregor will set the stage for our discussion on why an organizational culture fails. The stress that management places on productivity, on the concept of a fair day's work, on the evils of feather bedding and restriction of output, on rewards for performance, while it has a logic in terms of the objective of enterprise, reflects an underlying belief that management must counteract an inherent human tendency to avoid work. McGregor identified a series of human wants in ascending order, from the most basic physiological urges through a desire for safety and security, to the social needs such as belonging, acceptance by one's peers, and the giving and receiving of affection. Above those again came the egotistic needs, those that relate to an individual's self-esteem, the need for self-respect, self-confidence, autonomy, achievement, competence, and knowledge, to reputation, status, recognition, and the respect of one's peers. In McGregor's pyramid came the need for self-fulfillment, for realizing one's individual potential, and for continuing in self-development. If management continued to focus its attention on physiological needs, providing rewards was unlikely to be effective, and the only alternative under this philosophy would be reliance on the threat of punishment. Part of Theory X validates itself, but only because we have mistaken effect for cause. McGregor continues, the philosophy of management by direction and control, regardless if it is hard or soft, is inadequate to motivate because the human needs on which the approach relies are relatively unimportant motivators of behavior in our society today. Direction and control are of limited value in motivating people or employees whose important needs are social and egotistic. So long as the assumption of Theory X continues to influence management strategies and styles, we will fail to discover, let alone utilize, the potential of the average human being. McGregor's Theory Y approach was designed to tap employees' potential. This was based on his observation of the way management thinking had moved a considerable way from the traditional hard approach and the soft reaction that followed the Depression years. McGregor developed 6 basic assumptions for Theory Y as follows. Number 1. The expenditure of physical and mental effort on work is as natural as play or rest. The average human being does not inherently dislike work. Dependent on controllable conditions, work may be a source of satisfaction, that is, will be voluntarily performed, or a source of punishment, that is, will be avoided if possible. Number 2. External control and the threat of punishment are not the only means for bringing about effort towards organizational objectives. Employees will exercise self-direction and self-control in the service of objectives they are committed. Number 3. Commitment to objectives is a function of the reward associated with their achievement. The most significant of such rewards, for example, the satisfaction of ego and self-actualization needs, can be direct products of effort directed towards organizational objectives. Number 4. The average human learns under proper condition not only to accept but seek responsibility. Number 5. The capacity to exercise a relatively high degree of imagination, ingenuity, and creativity in the solution of organizational problems is widely, not narrowly, distributed in the population. And number 6. Under the condition of modern industrial life, the intellectual potential of the average human are only partially utilized. Such assumptions, McGregor pointed out, had a deep implications for management. Where Theory X offered management an easy scapegoat for failure, the innate nature and limitation of its human resources, Theory Y placed all problems squarely in the lap of management. If the employee was lazy or unwilling to show initiative or responsibility, if they were indifferent or intransigent, the fault lay in the management methods. In other words, McGregor was redefining the old military adage, There are no bad troops, only bad officers. McGregor believed that human beings are capable of far greater potential than the industrial management of his time could understand. Theory X denied even the existence of that potential. Theory Y challenged management to innovate, to discover new ways of organizing and directing human effort, even though we recognize that the perfect organization, like the perfect vacuum, is practically out of reach. We will cover more about Theory Y as it applies to employee participation in a later podcast. Thank you for listening to this podcast, and good luck on your journey to developing a successful safety culture. This is James Broughton.